not professional at all at this. I just make it up as I go along.
That's the way to do it.
Exactly.
It is. Everyone, in case anyone doesn't recognize me, maybe it's because I'm wearing a different shirt or something this time, or I have my hair a different way. It's me again, Seth. And I have two lovely guests today. Today we're revisiting Holy Fuck and Sacred Water. And we have the lovely Ulrika Karlsson again, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing too, but for a first time as well. I'm really thrilled to have the co-author of this book, Susana. Susana
Silverhøj.
Silverhøj. Okay, I wasn't too sure whether you kept that part. Okay, so Susana Silverhøj, who's also the co-author of this book. They're both absolutely fascinating ladies, and I had a quick nosy around your website last night, Susana, and your other one you created. Even then, you're kind of diving into these rabbit holes. So for anyone who kind of doesn't know, Ulrika is already the author of two books, one which she's co-authored with Susana. She's a spiritual teacher, yoga therapist, feminine leadership coach. She has 28 years of holistic experience in various fields. She covers that much ground. She has that much workshops and things that she's done. And Susana is a transformational author. She has written two books and co-authored 5. One, of course, with God, I'm getting my names mixed up here, with Ulrika. She is also co-host of a podcast called Live the Impossible Show and has co-created the site Holy Land. She has many boot camps with tailored courses. She's of course, an intuitive energy seer and futurist, and she has many other titles, too numerous to mention in this, behind her name. And like Ulrika, she's also a feminine leadership coach. And we're here today to talk about Holy Fuck and Sacred Water, the book that they co-wrote together and just finished in 2019. So very, very warm welcome to both of you. I'm absolutely delighted to have you both, and let's hope for a cracking interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having us and for being back. Our talks are always great, so I'm looking forward to what will be revealed today.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have something anyway. If we don't get anything covered, we'll have a good laugh anyway. But yeah, this why we're revisiting this book again is because, as I was saying to you, Ulrika, in our previous interview, like it took me so long to get through this because it is literally so dense. It's not an easy book to pick up and just race through chapters. It's not something that you could go to yourself, well, I'll read 20% per day. It's not like that. There's so much detail in it, so much to absorb, that you can only, for me anyway, absorb a small piece a day before you need to take a break from that and just constantly let that flow and wash over you, and that you kind of absorb that new information. Rereading the book or rereading sections again, it's no surprise that I picked up on so much more else than I did for the first time. Like as we were saying just before we went live, I could make 5 interviews of this book, even if it may seem like, you know, there's quite a lot of ground or quite a lot of material covered in this interview. It's literally only the highlights. The book is that dense. It is incredible.
Just showing the book. Yeah, just
what
showing the book. Yeah.
You always have these beautiful covers on your book. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's amazing cover for an amazing book. I totally agree.
It is. It looks like some sort of book that's been pulled out of the Ark of the Covenant or something. It really is. It looks like a right holy book.
Yeah, it's like a Bible.
It is. It really is. It really is a holy book. They should have that in, well, maybe not quite in traditional Christian churches. They should have it somewhere. They should have it somewhere, and people should read. People should actually read from that book and let people understand it. I was saying to Ulrika that I haven't really been on so much, but I'm on this live talk thing called Wisdom. It's an app, and sometimes I do book readings. And I'd said to Ulrika that it may be something that I eventually turn to reading out chapters or pieces of that book, because you're going to connect with a whole new audience there. You know, if whoever's listening, a kind of daily book read might be interesting to initiate new people into your new church new disciples, perhaps. So
Brilliant idea.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks,
yeah,
Sam. Yeah,
I think I'll do that if it's okay with you two.
Absolutely.
totally. It's here to be shared and to make ripples on the water.
It definitely is. It's, and I had just not. I'm trying not to start go into my own ramble, but I have done some small videos on the importance of water and all about sacred water. But as I was saying to Ulrika, like the information in this book just blew me away. There was so much in this book, and it wasn't even just so much about obviously I learned so much about water and blood and all of the rest of that, but all of the different stuff, like you could literally, I can't think of the term, but you could throw like I don't know, any kind of topic at this book, and you'll probably find it covered within it. Like it isn't just about water or the concept of a holy fuck. But I mean, there's creation missing it, Sumerian creation missing it. There's holy sexuality, there's DNA, there's quantum physics, there are sections on the pineal gland about stargates, about the sacred yoni and lingam, all about DNA, sexuality. It's literally, that's what I'm saying, it's so dense. There's so much information in this, and I guess that should be highlighted for anyone who kind of thinks, well, I'm not too sure if that's a book for me. Literally, there's so much more in this book than even the title suggests.
Well, the subtitles suggest it's the secret connections to everything. So in that sense, it does, because it's all about how everything is weaved together, and we tend to separate things and see things in different aspects, but it's all connected. And if we are not aware of how many things that are connected and we hold things under our DNA, how could we change the world? How can we change ourselves? And if we don't, like, we cannot change what we are not aware of. And I think that's the also part of the intention with this book, is to really help people to start to see things from different perspectives, because we are so indoctrinated into like a certain, that to separate everything and separate into, well, this is from into different type of sciences or everything, but it's all there and it's all connected. So we miss out on so much in life when we try to just see things from one angle. It's just like the elephant, you have one person seeing the trunk, and then the other one the legs and the tail and and the ears, and they're like, no, and everybody argues. But if everybody just zoomed out and start to see things from all the different perspectives, they will realize it's a bloody elephant.
And that is also exactly what we're saying. Like, if you're only looking in 1 degree, one angle, we know that the circle has 360 degrees. So if I'm only looking into one sort of degree, whether that degree might be, I'm missing out on the 359 degrees. So this book is like the circle covering 360 degrees.
Yeah, it's like everyone has a piece of the puzzle, don't they? And they're all kind of sitting there. And I guess this is where arguments kind of happen and relations break down in this kind of overarching, truth-seeking spiritual community, because everyone's kind of stuck in their own little narrative and thinking that I have the truth, when in actual fact they only have a small piece of the puzzle. We need to realize that we only have a piece of the jigsaw. We need to connect these jigsaws all together to see the whole picture, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you've both kind of mentioned that this was a kind of a channeled book, a divinely guided book. You were both kind of nudged to start in 2019. You said the book is a bridge into the new earth it will all look for. It's connecting the dots to ourselves. And it was a different writing process for you both. You were both apparently writing a chapter on feminine leadership, and Ulrika, you had said that why don't we all kind of write a something about sacred sexuality? And that sparked something within you, Tora. So you reached out to Ulrika to get this kind of going. And I'm just kind of wondering about that process. I know I spoke to Ulrika about her part, and I know that you've mentioned this in the book, but how, like the information, where did it come from? How did you manage to collect or collate all of this information? How did that writing process start, especially when Ulrika was racing ahead with her chapters?
Well, I think that I've always been one of those intuitive. I see things and I just grasp, and so I've learned also to take actions on these inspirations. So when I get one of those ideas, there's no logic in it, and I just jump on it. And so I reached out to Ulrika, and I think that it was in our conversations and connection that we started like, oh, we had ideas, and then we started to just make lists of like what would be relevant, and then it took a life on its own. So we would sit and write maybe separate things, and then we would and then we sat and tried to be quite, like, how do we organize it? And we realized we can't do it that way. So we sat together and went through every word and every sentence together and then we would add things, and how do we explain this so it makes sense? And because it's one thing that I think that makes sense but might not make sense for Ulrika, and so we would really go into this amplified field or quantum field where we would see things that we would sit there and like, oh my God, I never thought about this before. So it was quite almost like a magical journey together where we changed with for months, when we would sit there in this space and go through and add, and then it's like, there's something that doesn't add up here, and how do we actually see this? And then we will leave the meeting, and then literally within minutes there will be something that would inspire, and like, oh, this is the missing piece. So it was like a jigsaw puzzle that came together that we would never in our wildest dream could imagine when we started the process, because we thought it would be much more about the sacred sexuality, and it's actually just a tiny little part that is about that. And about so that was just like the main focus, and about the water of Ulrika and all of that. And I have done a lot of water research about structured water and the drinking water and all of that type of thing. So it's just like we could see how it all just like, I never thought about that. That actually fits exactly, because from this perspective that adds up there, and blah 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 blah. So it was a magical journey and co-creation, and that I think that we have connected us as soul sisters for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah. You said, obviously you didn't follow this normal teamwork, traditional method way of working. You said describe it as more of a feminine way of creating and adding, as you said, more content, as more disclosure and awareness surface. You actually took my next line, which is the book took on a life of its own. So you did.
It sure did, and it was, as Susanna is saying, the book was growing on us, and we realized that this is, these are secrets that we all known for thousands of years, that we, like your universal law, like law of attraction, like a law of gestaltion or whatever. So this became like one of the natural laws that we all know of, but that we have forgotten about it. And that is deeply buried beneath all these trauma or deep program that we all carry. So when we were writing the book, it was like this massive massive sort of dawning and sort of insight that, oh my gosh, this is truly universal. This is truly, you know, way beyond the two of us, way beyond, you know, us humans. This is so much bigger. This is like universal and multidimensional on so many aspects. And as Susanna was saying, that the book is also created to reactivate your individual path to remembrance. So when you read it as you described, you go back into yourself, you absorb it, you melt it, you merge with it, and then you come out on the other side, transformational into higher levels of consciousness.
Yeah, it's as I said, it's so much level of detail in it that it completely blew me away, and I couldn't understand. I was like, where on earth did they get access to all of this information? For me, I guess it was very liberating reading something like that. But I guess for a lot of people, it would probably be quite hard to take in unless you're kind of open to that, because as you've mentioned in the book, that most people are not even aware of how limited their reality is. They believe that this 3D reality is all that there is. They're still in the matrix. And what you have both said is that you want to be the red pill to open your heart and open your eyes. And I guess that comes with the idea, the concept that what we're doing when we're reading this book and when we're taking this information is it's transforming us. It's causing us to think in different ways. It's causing us to examine our lives and our reality in different ways. And that can be difficult. The biggest thing to do in this life is to transform yourself out of the reality that you've been kind of in. And another reason that you wrote this book is to address taboo and politically correct statements, to provoke and challenge those beliefs. But it can be hard for people to awaken, to accept that, you know, the reality that they see in front of them, the mundane kind of life, if I can say that they're accustomed to, is not all that there is.
Yeah, and it's also that one of the reasons why we actually say on the back that, you know, this is not for the common man. This is for the leaders, those who are at the cutting edge, who are really here to make a difference, but feel so alone with these sometimes crazy ideas. And we don't say that we have the truth. It's just an invitation for people to start to see things from different perspectives, and say the truth that resonates with them will be there, but you know, our truth is not necessarily someone else's truth. So it's just to give like a smorgasbord of possibilities, and when you're ready, you can, you know, wow, never thought about that. Does that resonate with me? Is this part of my truth, or and I think that that's part of this transformational journey, and help people to, you know, but sometimes we need to be shaken, because we need to start to take responsibility, because we live in a society where people are blaming everyone else and everything else for why they feel like they feel and live the life they, it's like my parents' fault, the society's fault, or whatever. And that is what keeps us stuck as well. So it actually takes a lot of courage to start to explore different possibilities, and even to stay in the questions like, whoa, could this be true? And how does that feel in your body? So it's more like that, an invitation not to take everything as this is the truth, but really to just feel what happens in my body, how, you know, start to get to know yourself. Remember,
I think the problem is we don't even know the basics of this. We've become so disconnected from our feelings, which are our guidance system. You know, our feelings don't lie to us. The truth will feel free, but when we don't even understand our feelings, we're just this complicated mess of feelings and emotions that we are driven by rather than understanding. So we are very much kind of like the person who reacts to our experiences and our emotions instead of being the observer and understanding what these feelings are trying to teach us. And if we don't have those basics in place, how can we understand what is happening to us when we're challenged by different information? It causes this cognitive dissonance. We almost kind of repel from that because we don't understand what that is doing. It's igniting something within us. It's stirring up feelings or old memories, subconscious memories, ancestral memories. But when we don't understand what these feelings are, we can, or certainly the common person can repel from that. If that kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we project. That's just like, so people will get really upset with us because we challenge their belief systems, and it's the belief systems that keep us stuck. So also to to really stay with open hearts and it's like, well, that and respect that there's different point of views and belief systems, and instead of like, no, this is my truth, so you're wrong and I'm right. And especially in the spiritual community, where it's just like, no, we are all the same and we are equal, and instead of saying, yes, that is true, we are at one level, we are the same and equal and all of it. We always have equal value, but we are not the same. We are also unique beings that makes part of this jigsaw puzzle. So it's like the uniqueness and sameness and at the same time. So it's never either or, it's always both and I think that is what is so conflicting. And when it comes to emotion, as you were saying, is that our emotions is a mirror of, from my perspective, is that it's a mirror of my traumas and beliefs. So it's based on previous experiences. So it has nothing to do with if it's this is how you feel, but it's based on what I have previous experience around that is triggered. So then we have the opportunity to look at it. It's like, why am I triggered? Why do I feel like this? Because in my own reality, how I navigate in world is that I go to, does this feel good to believe? If it doesn't, then it can't be true. That's how it's like, it's either or in that perspective. If it doesn't feel good, it's not true. There's more to it. And then I start to explore, so what is it that holds me back and hold me away from something, that a belief that feels so much better? And that has been then the biggest revelation in my life, to navigate and learn, because it's quite simple. It's just like anyone can, it's like, does it feel good? No. Okay, then there's more to it that I can explore, and with the emotions and everything. So it's an easy way to actually learn the basics in a way.
Yeah.
And I want to add also that even though that you, Susanna, was saying that like this is our truth and may not necessarily be your truth, I would actually go as far as saying, as the wisdom of the book that just has come through us are universal, since we all contain water. So even though that we have different individual journeys and different paths and different purposes and different, what we are here to do, this book can apply to you regardless of where you are on your path, because you have so much water in your body, and the book will activate whatever that you are ready for. So and water is the element that is associated also, as we are talking about emotions. And a lot of us are having frozen emotions, like the emotions are being stuck in the body, and the body is the representative of the unconscious mind, subconscious and unconscious. So everything that is stored in the body is sort of stored also in the unconscious mind. So that's why we can use the emotions to liberate ourselves. We can use these frozen emotions and to become aware of where these frozen emotions are stuck. I don't necessarily have to recall the trauma that sort of embedded these frozen emotions in me. But when I sort of go into this space and I feel this trauma in its rawest essence, whether it's stored as fear or lack or a lot of grief, and when I'm there with my presence, with my consciousness, with my heart. So as we are saying, I'm the observer, but I'm also allowing the emotions to flow freely through me as the channel, because when they're flowing freely through me, that's the way how I release them. So when I release the frozen emotion, it contains the frozen water with a lot of different, informations, gems, reactivations, etc., etc. So that's why also when you're transforming the frozen emotions through you, moving them through you as emotion, energy in motion, that means that they really should be moving and not stuck, not stagnated, not frozen. So when we sort of like an ice cube that is melting, then we get access to the information that is stored within.
Yeah.
Very well said. And you've mentioned obviously water. On the subject of water is that water is obviously sacred. It's transformational. Spirit is said to manifest in water. So when we're getting in touch with our water, with our frozen emotions, we're getting in touch with spirit, which thrives and grows in water. So this book, you've actually said, can actually help you get in touch with that spirit that manifests through that, helping you to purify your own water, your traumas, your stress. And once you do that, once you purify your water, once you understand your traumas and stress, you have this balance of the feminine and masculine, which is the concept or one concept of the holy fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as I love water because also when everything on the planet has water molecule, even rocks have water molecule, and that holds a lot of information. And if you have pure water that is cleared from all old information, so can you imagine when we have water we drink that we take from the tap, it's been through everybody's consciousness and information, like all their trauma, all the medicines, everything, and that is held in the water because it's like this almost like a computer storage with so much information. If you have one glass of pure water, the amount of information you can embed in that water is the same amount as all known computers on the planet. So can you imagine how much shit we hold in our bodies and like hold on? And that is also why it's like what we resist persists. So that's like what you were saying, like when we start to actually allow the emotions to flow through, allow our thoughts, we are not our thoughts, so we don't have to hold on to them. Everything that change is not who we really are. The only thing that is left, the essence, that is who we are. So there's also to way to change our identity and have these things just flow through us. And so also one thing we can do is to really purify our water when we drink and change the structure of the water. Like that's why we, these there are these healing things that the pilgrimage in southern France, like in Lourdes, they get this healing. It's due to the frequency of that water and the minerals they hold in the water, and people get healings. There's some of the oldest people, this always comes back to the quality of the water, why they have this longevity. So it's quite amazing when we start to also explore what we can do to drink the highest quality of water to help us to release all this trauma and pollution and everything, all the old information. And that's what I did with the, like I did the breatharian retreat.
Yeah.
that I also write about in the book, where you basically you don't drink and eat for, well, there's 3 days you don't drink at all, nothing. And also it becomes very, very clear how we've been programmed to believe that we will die if we don't get water in 3 days. Well, you don't. But it also needs you to have that consciousness that it is possible, because otherwise you will do, because we manifest what we believe, right? So if we believe we will die from, and if we don't get water, then we will die. So it's just like to also really have the balance. It's not something you can just do like that. But at the same time, what for me, it was that one of the biggest transformations in that sense, that I realized that was just another belief system, and that was so deeply embedded that if I don't eat every 4th hour, I thought I would die. I always had food in my bag. And like now I can go for days and it's like I'm cool. I don't even get hungry. I choose to eat because I really enjoy it, but it's not a survival mechanism. So it's also like, it doesn't mean you cannot do it, but it's a conscious choice, and it's not out of survival. And I think that is also part of the exploration. And I know that is like a very extreme thing, and that, like, I wouldn't recommend it to like everyone. You need to do.
Please, no. Just don't think that you can't eat or drink for 3 days. Please do this for someone who's qualified. We don't want any deaths caused by this.
No. Yeah. But
Yeah,
just to even explore the possibility of it.
I try to
And
do it on my
Susanna
own.
has done it for you, so you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I know. I tried to do it on my own, and after like 2 days, it was delirious and delusional. It was like, oh, I can't keep this up. You really do need to have that consciousness, that belief that goes with it. The physical aspect is only one part of it, really, at the end of the day. But you were talking there just about the water, and that concept that even our tap water is polluted, and it contains, even if we think that we're drinking pure water, that water's being recycled. It contains all of the emotions and all of the chemicals with medication, stuff like that. Completely put me off my water when I read that for the first time. And I actually done my own video where I went up and gathered pure water beside a holy well, but actually gathered water falling from rocks. And I thought to myself, after this, oh my God, I'm not going to drink water again. I'm going to make this trip up to this well and gather these massive jugs of water. But completely realized that was impractical, because it was like 20 minutes of a hike, and I would never get enough water to do.
You will drink it before you get down.
Yeah, carrying these big things down at a time and having to make that journey every couple of days, and it's a good bit of way of drive. So it was just impractical. But I guess the best thing that we can do is we are talking about the frequency of water is just, we talk about that in the book, or you talk about that in the book, about how our intentions, how our thoughts can have an effect upon water, how we can bless and purify the water even with our intentions. So I think that's kind of the next best thing. If you don't have a pure, unfiltered, free-flowing source of water that you can drink from every day, is make do with the water that you can. Make sure, and even trying to gather it in containers. I was thinking, well, even if I get pure water, it's still in these plastic containers, so it's almost defeating the purpose, really.
Yeah. And plastic there will always be plastic particles that goes into the water. So the thing is, we need to keep it in like glass, clay, or something, for not to get the contamination into the water. But what we do here at home is that we have a lot of different filters. Before that, we were distilling the water. So basically, you kill the water, you remove all old information, but then you need to restructure it, where you need to add minerals, could be like Himalaya salt or something, and then you stir it. And while you stir it, you have the intention, and like you see this, like whatever you feel like, I'm healthy, I'm amazing, I'm whatever, we feel like, I'm abundant, I'm whatever. And then that is the information that goes into the water. It's quite amazing, because a few months ago, like, this book came out in 2020, and from that, what both me, Ulrika, and I have really started to it's like the things that have manifested for us personally, also in the process of the shifts going on within us. But then I was told about this device, which is this one here, and what it is based on quantum physics, so quantum frequencies, terahertz, and the what's optical quartz.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just like a Kinder egg, like these amplified field that comes with it. And what it does with the water, because it looks like a hairdryer, sounds like a hairdryer, and but
it's
it's
not the
nothing.
dildo that Ulrika produced last time, is it? No?
This is the dildo. Yes. Yes. So it's like this. So it looks like we call it a medbed dildo, or you can, as those who work with it, or the leader management, they say it's just like it's the blow job. So they say it's the best blow job they've ever had, and you don't need anyone else to do it for you. So it's the perfect thing, isn't it? But what happens when you use these terahertz, it's you amplify the healthy cells, so it clears out all the pollution in your body, and because of the heat, it melts the ice that Ulrika was talking about before, and it makes the water molecule, instead of clustering together in big clusters that doesn't go into our cells, it comes like a string, like a pearls on a strand, like so it goes into their core of the cell, which activates the DNA, and it activates stem cells. So it's really the most mind-blowing experience I've ever had, like a physical tool of everything we wrote about in Holy Fucking Sacred Water. So it's this is a part of the co-creation for me and Ulrika as well, to actually the combination of the book to understand the theory behind it, and everything comes with that, the knowledge, and then have the actual tool to clear out all the shit out of our bodies. It's quite amazing.
And I also want to add, sorry, Sanith, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I also want to add that, like Susanna was saying, this book came in 2020, and numerologically speaking, 2020 was the year of the heart. 2 is the heart, and the 0 is to enhance and to increase the heart energy, the heart frequency. And we know, as we're writing about it in the book, that blood is also connected to the water element, and blood that is running through our heart, etc., etc. So this year, 2020, when the book came, was actually a year of love and increased frequency. Instead, the world chose, to go into the polarity of fear-based, lack perspectives, and all of this. So we are joking that we are ahead of our time, but I truly believe that we are, because now I know this new film, The Avatar Part 2, is coming. And it's called The Way of the Water. So now a lot of people are, looking up into and I know people are doing these water cleansing, water. So we were actually way ahead of our time. Now people finally start to know the quality of the water, and that it does more than just, for us to shower in or for us to drink. So I think that is also amazing, because we are moving into the year also 2023, and 2023 is a 7, and 7 means to reconnect or to deepen your connection with the spirit and your soul. So it's all also entangled, and like what we are writing about in the book is, you know, still up to date even today.
Yeah, it is. There's so much that you were just talking about earlier about how the truth in this book may not be for everyone. There may be only small portions in this book, but the beauty about this book is you could revisit this book again in a year, 2 year, 3 years, and pick it up and find more stuff that resonates with you. The more that you journey down your own spiritual growth, if that kind of makes sense. There's so much in this that is timeless information. You've said, that there's nothing in this that is new. Like any information that's presented to us, there is absolutely nothing new. It's timeless information. It has been there since the time immemorial, I guess. It's just being brought up and maybe presented in a different way again, or it has been, hidden or occulted, or has, been thrown by the wayside because of, science and materialism. But it's now kind of being brought up again in a different light. So absolutely, there is so much in this book that is so relevant to today and can be so relevant in 5 years' time, if not 10 years' time. And it really is very, very true about the importance of water. Maybe just not the greatest example about Avatar 2 to present, because it really wasn't that great.
I know. I'm just saying that even, big filmmakers see the importance of water and how we can distort it in a different way. And so I also want to add, like what we're seeing in the world today and for these past 2.5 years, as we were saying, like 2020 was the year of the heart. Instead, most of us choose to go into the fear-based perspectives. And so this is also the pollution that each and one of us carries, our individual consciousness that is, bringing into the collective consciousness. So each and one of us are responsible for everything that is going on in the world today, with our thoughts, with our actions, with our words. Like words are spells. That's what they call spelling. So just, really be brutal honest and radical honest to yourself. How have you navigated these past 2.5 years? What have you, what thoughts have you been having? And we were talking earlier in the call about separation. Like we have been programmed for thousands of years that we are separated. We are separated from source. We're separated from God. We're separated, our bodies are separated from our spirit and so on. And these past 2.5 years have increased the illusion of separation, that we are separated. You did that choice and I did this choice. And these illusions have been creating more separation instead of, bringing us together. So also, this is the moment also to be very true and to look into yourself. So how I've been acting, what kind of projections have I made? How have I contributed to the separation in these past 2 years? So it's also an opportunity, like individual or for the collective consciousness, to grow, to increase our consciousness.
Yeah, very, very true. Like at the time of publishing this book, 2020, and as you mentioned, the past 2.5 years, there has been so much come to light. I would also link that to this heart-based energy that we're now talking about, because people have been so triggered. There's been so much information that has come to light with the the disclosure movement, the arrest of celebrities, powerful people, even spiritual leaders. The whole concept of Satanism reared its head. We had the Q movement, Cabal. You had people talking about all of this different stuff. For the first time, we had the lockdowns. We had all this information coming up, and it was causing us to look inside ourselves. Where am I being triggered? How am I reacting to this? Am I contributing to this through my anger or through my disbelief? We had mass separation, as you talk about, with people on either side of the divide for vaccination, pro or anti. We weren't communicating with each other. We were simply picking sides. Well, you're stupid because you're taking a vaccination. Well, you're deluded, you and your tinfoil hat. Instead of having conversations with each other, we were divided, once again, conquer and divide. And so it was very, very interesting. And even today, fast forward 2.5 years, we still have mass awakenings, we still have mass triggerings, we still have mass separations coming on. We have concepts such as the Great Reset, on the public consciousness, the climate change agenda, transhumanism, all of that sort of stuff. So there's a lot that's coming to light, and it's about how do we react to that information? Are we allowing ourselves to be triggered by it? Are we allowing ourselves to go down that rabbit hole and get angry and stuck down there? Or are we going to react to this with higher frequencies, with even more love and positivity, and realizing that, yes, all of this stuff may be happening, but it should only serve me to spread this light and open my heart even further in acceptance and understanding of this.
Totally. And then we know that all the things that you're talking about and all the things that has happened in the outer realms is for sure influencing the inner water, the quality of the water that we have been talking about. So all this, like outer events, are stored in our inner water and causes even further pollutions. So yes, there are also mass awakenings, but there are also still people who have these frozen emotions and frozen traumas that are stored within the body and holding on to limiting beliefs or whatever. So that's why we need to spread, the meaning of the water as we do here today also, because I feel that there's still so much, as we are all contributing to the collective consciousness, like each and one of us. So there's still so many things that many of us needs to do, and the answer is not out there. It's deeply buried within us, and to go there, as you said, Susanna, it takes courage.
Yeah, and also because again, it's the both and, because we have governments who are really doing their best to separate us. Like here in I live in Denmark, and our prime minister, she was shaming people who choose not to vaccinate. And now they kind of have to back off when you see the increasement of the deaths in the country. It's never been so high as this year, and as long as they have measured. Ambulance has running around is never been so common, and yet they want to keep us divided. But we also have seen that people start to wake up and realize, but then they pollute even more. They have
Exactly.
the chemtrails, the graphene oxide, also the vaccine, graphene oxide, and all the pollution from the vaccines. No matter if you pro or against, it doesn't matter. It still will affect those who chose not to, from the water, because
Exactly.
it comes through our water, which means that we will have to do a lot of clearing out and cleaning in our own systems, due to that we all are all connected through our water on so many different levels.
Exactly.
So it's quite a journey we're on. And if we also, if we feel, that's also why we're claiming that we are conspiracy theorists in that sense, because we refuse to be shamed by that, because people make it as something bad. But to conspiracy means to breathe together. So
Yes.
it's actually, why would we be if you look at the conspirare, the Latin meaning, if you break it down, it's breathing together, or breathing in with spirit, or there's different type of meanings. But why would we be ashamed of that? Why would that be a negative thing? So it's also to say, hey, it's okay. I'm going to follow my own intuition, stand in my truth, and you are allowed to stand in yours. But I will not obey just because I feel pressured. So many people felt pressured to take the jab, even if they would not. And that is also to not, when we talk about the whole the separation, that we are so separated and all of that, but at the same time it's important to keep the boundaries that we're, because it's a lot of people often experience the oneness movement as sameness movement. So it's like, well, if one takes it, everybody needs to take it, type of thing. And we can't fall for that. It's not a contradiction to have your own boundaries and still be not separated, if you get, like that's the wholeness
Exactly.
and the individualness in the same
Exactly.
box.
And then we come back again to the water, like you mentioned, Susanna, that there are increased deaths. And yes, we know that. I'm from Sweden. We see this also in the statistics from our public, institutions, that there are an increased amount of death, and there's also a decreased amount of births, right? And when you're like a baby, you're surrounded by this sacred water, by the wisdom. You are in the mother's womb. You are connected to the divine. You're connected to divine source. And so not only have the deaths increased, but also the birth has decreased. And there again, we have this transition through the water and the meaning of the water, how it imprints us, our DNA and on a cellular level, and like the same quality of the water that we have in our womb is the same essence that the oceans had when they were unpolluted. So there's so many layers to this, and if you are still just want to look in one angle, that is also a conscious choice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, the problem is isolation, separation, disconnection from each other, from the earth, from our own sacred water. And we've become scared, our flow has been turned off. And what we need to do is reunite. We need to reunite those aspects of ourselves and reunite with each other, form those connections again, which is another aspect of the holy fuck.
Yes. Do you
Yeah.
want to go, Susanna?
You start.
No,
Yeah, you go.
With the holy fuck, the way I see it also, as I was writing a new book after holy fuck called The Sacred Soul, a Divine Evolution Through Time and Space, is also that our soul, we know that our part of our souls also exists within our bodies. Like the soul also exists in our higher self and in our aura and in the Akashic record and other, but our souls are also stored within the bodies. And for our souls to ignite to its higher level of consciousness and to its divinity, we also need the water and we need the fire elements. So the holy fuck is also being seen everywhere, from a cellular level, where the information moves from one cell to another through our nervous system. This firing, this ignition of the masculine essence, which is the fire. And then also we need the ignition also to our soul to embark on our higher paths, our journeys back home to ourselves, who we truly are on a soul level. And this, the feminine, the masculine, you also have the essence of the feminine and the masculine in all the elements. So you have the polarities in all elements. You have the feminine fire, you have the masculine water. So it's not only to one essence or another, but you need them both for the information to move through you, for something, as a baby being created, as we are writing about in Holy Fuck, you need the masculine, you need the semen from lingam, the pillar of light, and you need it to be in the void, the potential, the unlimited potential of the darkness that is the uterus, the yoni. So the way I see it is that we need a lot of holy fucks. We need water, we need the fire elements to increase our consciousness and to move into 2023 with the intention of reaching, the best version of myself in the highest level of consciousness in my most divine expression. So not only do we need to work with the feminine aspects of ourselves, we need to work with the masculine aspects. And not only we need to work with the feminine and masculine, we need to work with the conscious essence of the feminine and the conscious essence of the masculine, that is then merging into the conscious holy fuck, where everything is sacred and holy and divine.
Yeah. I could take this. Sorry, I could take this conversation in so many different directions. Just very quickly, I just wanted to mention that, that this could kind of lead into the stuff that we were talking about before: the unconscious feminine, the unconscious masculine, the conscious feminine, the conscious masculine, the reclaiming of both feminine parts for both men and women. How we are kind of living in our more masculine energy, which is depleting the feminine energy. We need to get them both in balance. I guess I just wanted to make that point. There are so many different aspects and layers to this book. It blows me away. Sorry, Susanna.
No, but I think that it's very true, and that's also why it's not an easy digest to, it's not like you lay on the beach and just skim it through, or it's not an easy read in that perspective, but it's more like one of those things that you can bring out, like when you also feel guided that I'm stuck in something, just open it up and see what it, maybe that is exactly what you need to read that will help you to transform. Exactly. But also with this I to also come back with our magic wand, the tool, it's like the lingam of the light with the fire coming through, heating up our bones and penetrating and sparks up our cells. And I think that that's also where, like a few days after I started using it, that is exactly what I could feel. It was the holy fucks, the sparks of my life force was just popping up. And it was my cells were like the sparkling diamonds or stars in the sky or whatever. And they were dancing and they were so happy because they finally got to function properly, because it was like clearing out all this pollution. So that was what I could see was happening. And being diagnosed with fibromyalgia like a decade ago, and with all of that challenge that comes with being in so much pain, having all these physical things, I know all these things about so many things of how, and yet my body is really struggling to be here on the planet. And it's just like my alien self, it's just like, oh, it's dense to be here on the planet. and so that's always been my challenge, and I could see that's also where I went into war against myself. So it comes back to that separation and not wanting to be here because I feel so alienated from the world. And I know a lot of people feel like that. So also when you then can activate the vagus nerve, you clear the meridians, you clear out your system, just like all you spark up the quality and structure your water, charge it with this life force that is the healthy cells. Within 2 days my pain was gone, and I think that it's like more than I could ever dream of. Also when read it, like one of the things we were saying when writing our book was just like, we need some kind of like a magic tool to just do this quickly, because this is you have the lingam, and then you charge the sacred water like in the womb or in the glass or whatever, but now we have this holy fucking sacred water tool, which it's just like beyond my wildest dreams, that going from all these angles and actually have something it's easy to use, like for anyone, no matter what your beliefs are.
Yeah, it is amazing, and I can really That's the word I'm looking for. Really relate. Yes, thank you for that. Really relate to your concept of feeling alien and not wanting to be here because it's so dense, and understanding like this isn't like this. It shouldn't be like this, and um, feeling so lost and confused here, and having to find ways of accepting those feelings of isolation and separation and even contempt for the rest of humanity. Because you know that it's not like this, you know that it doesn't have to be like this. You know, in your kind of alien, higher density dimensional self, that you know the existence in those rarefied states of light are not like this. But that is an aspect, an unconscious shadow aspect of ourselves that we need to resolve. We need to understand that we've come here in order to help exactly with this condition, in order to help the rest of humanity. And I guess it's an aspect of how do we reignite our secret waters? How do we understand this concept of the holy fuck? How do we understand our stresses and traumas? And looking at tools that you explain in the book for reawakening this. And one of those aspects is the shadow inside us, the unconscious shadow. We try to, get away from that. I guess this is an aspect of this, of saying, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Feeling those feelings. And trying to shove them away, trying not to get in touch with them. I shouldn't be thinking it along those lines. I shouldn't be thinking this. We need those shadows, don't we? We need those yin and yang. This is again the holy fuck, the sun and the moon, the feminine, the masculine. We need to integrate those polarities within us, because it creates this sacred union, I guess.
Well, it's also to seeing what is a shadow. Like I've been studying the gene keys for a long time, and it's a great tool also to see that the shadows are the potentials of being gifts. So when you actually embrace and can look at your shadows, they can turn into the greatest gifts. And then the city, as Richard Rudd calls it. And I think that is a big part of this, to not try to get rid of, because then you're actually saying no to part of yourself. So if you want to feel whole and free, you need to bring all the pieces in without judging them as good or bad, because that is the separation and the polarity we live in. But to see that I am the one judging them as bad, but they're not. They are part of me. And when we can embrace that bit of ourselves, and I have tons of stories of my own process in one of my other books, the Goodness, Grace, and Great Thoughts on Fire, where I share like what I've done to change my belief systems around these things that we call shadows, and to see them as, well, they are programs and beliefs, but they are not who I really am, and to not reject that part of us. And when we don't reject them, that is when the transformation happens automatically, and we enter that holy fuck where it's the sacred masculine and feminine that comes together.
The merge.
And merge.
Yeah. I was just going to say that exactly, that like what we're talking about is the expression of the holy fuck. Like, and the thing is that the more access I have to my inner darkness, the more I can feel and allow my inner darkness, my wounds, my traumas, whatever we like to call them, the bigger my gifts are. As we're saying, we can transform the inner darkness into more light, into a high level of consciousness. So the more I'm willing to be maybe in the pain or in the illusion of the pain for as long as it lasts, to witness, to feel, to allow it to move through in its own pace, the more I have access to my light, the more I have access to a high level of consciousness, the more I have access to the dissolved ice cube that has turned into flowing water with a lot of information and divinity. So that's the paradox, because most people are so scared of going there. because it's so intense. It's, it might be painful. It might be so many things that we have programs around, our projections and perceptions around, instead of just, this is okay, so I'm angry, okay, I'm horny, okay, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm sad, like this brings back a memory, okay, so just be with it, but most people have not for thousands of years been willing to see it. We only want to have, and again, I think I've talked about it in our previous talks, Sanith, that this is also what Buddha discovered that causes us humanity to suffer. That is the craving for just good emotions, or craving for more money, cravings for better, big breasts, more money, whatever the cravings are in for. Or we also have the aversions of not feeling strong, sort of uncomfortable and unknown emotions, aversions of being this or that, aversions of not being included. The list can go on and on each side, so you just fill in the blanks. And these are also the illusions that keep us separated. These are the illusions that keep us separated. So just imagine that you, as we're saying, you just fall into the trauma or whatever that has been suppressed for you, the emotion. You fall into the body, you feel the sensation, you connect with the breath, you allow it to move through you. And then, the ignition of the holy fuck is mental level, physical, spiritual, emotional, sexual, financial, you name it. So, So what we are afraid of, if we dare to go there, that's where the gems are. That's where the transformation and transmutation can be, and the holy fucks into higher states of consciousness.
Yeah, and to let go of the resistance to
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Because that's just like where I experienced the moment I started to also shift how I perceive things. Like, I'm in pain, something is wrong, I need to fix it. Then to something, oh, I'm actually healing now. That's my body is healing. That's why I'm in pain. So
Exactly.
even if it's a physical or emotional or whatever type of pain, the pain and suffering comes from us not, actually see it as the gifts. Like, what's my body trying to tell me? And it's nothing wrong. It's just trying to get me to listen and stop and pause and feel and allow that to be and flow through, as you were saying, Louis.
Exactly. And so it takes also, again, a lot of courage to go there and to let go of the resistance, because we are so taught in our societies to hold on to. We hold on to our beliefs, we hold on to our emotions, we hold on to our relationships, to money, whatever. So also just to do the opposite, that is the feminine way, to just surrender. And that is why in yoga, the position savasana, it means like the dead man's position. You're not doing anything about it. You're not fixing. You're not putting labels into it. You're not running away. You're not numbing yourself with this or that. You're not numbing yourself with jabs, with medications, with food, with social media. You just, embrace it and feel it, because that's why we are here as souls, because we want to have the full experience as we do in our bodies, right?
I guess while we're kind of on this subject, processing our emotions, understanding who we are better, having this balance more between us. You've both had, shared incredibly personal experiences. Ulrika, we talked about your experiences, in the last time with your multiple orgasms, your release of your water, your understanding the dragon, the mermaid, the these dark aspects of you which you had to bring up to the surface. But also, Susanna, you've understood, parts of yourself which needed to be healed and balanced. You've realized that you were originally high priestess of Mu, you were in Lemuria, and you were an Arcturian descended through the Pleiades. You caused a lot of hurt back then. And then later you've talked about, past memories of remembering when you were a young girl of being raped, and having to go through that timeline of shame and ultimately how you ended up. And then you talked about another timeline where that rape didn't happen. But it's not that we, as you were talking about, like, oh, don't want to be in the negative. I want to stay in the positive. And I just want all the kind of nice things. We need to understand these dark aspects of ourselves, because we don't fully heal if we don't fully integrate and accept these dark aspects of ourselves. So it's only through the darkness that we can ascend into the light.
Definitely. And the interesting part is that one of the things that we talk about is that there's no there's different type of dark. Yes. People just say that, oh, this is dark and negative, but that's what we call, okay, it was like the well, this is like the evil, and that is not what our wounds and programs are. And I think that is also part of this, how to dare to be with all the hurt and pain we hold in our bodies, and not, instead of trying to get rid of it and see that's when we dare to face this is where the transformation happens, and we get so empowered, or as we call it, unfuckwithable.
Exactly. And that's why we can use, as we were saying, and you're saying, Susanna, oh, I don't know if he's still here.
No, he was out.
He was out. But we can use our inner darkness as trampolines for ascension. And when we're talking about ascension, we also have to do descension. We have to, as high as I want to rise, as deep as I want to go deep within me. So not all darkness is evil, no, but there's also evil darkness. So that's why we also write about it in the book, and to separate
Yeah.
that there are different energetic darknesses, like the void, the dark void of the uterus. That is the void of unlimited potential. So it's not evil. That's where, life can come through with the ignition of the masculine.
Well, it's same with the sky, right? So yes. It's we wouldn't be able to see the stars if we didn't have the dark of the space. So exactly. That's where it can be birthed from. And I think that's also to what makes us feel quite half is that we separate that bit.
Exactly. And we are also looking to become whole and to unite ourselves with outer stuff. So we're looking for, like, in the wrong places for the wrong things. Where we should look is inside ourselves, because that's where all the gems, and we do know, we're also writing about it in Holy Fuck, that what happens with the carbon when it's due to a lot of pressure and a lot of heat in a long time, it turns into diamond. And so the Holy Fuck of our, growth is to become the diamond, to become the new human with a crystalline core, and with that is coming from unconditional love, instead of these old programs that we've had for thousands and thousands of years of lack and scarcity, and also fear.
Yes. We'll see where he disappeared.
Yes, he disappeared into cyberspace for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so funny.
Now he's back. Hello.
What a night. Hi. My laptop wasn't charging. I don't know what happened. It wasn't charging. It ran out of power. So hopefully that other section has recorded. Give me one second.
It looks like they've been recorded, and we just kept on going.
Yeah,
that's okay. I can edit that section. We have
you were
to
up in cyberspace.
Yeah.
I
So
actually
you
thought
were
my
out in the potential, in the dark potential, the void, like.
I was definitely in the dark because I thought my electricity had run out. Thankfully, it hadn't. Then, oh my god, I'm gonna have to run out and get electricity. Thankfully, it wasn't that. Thankfully, it was just the laptop was not charging. It's a faulty charger, so we'll have to just kind of pick up again where we kind of left off, or where you left off, even.
Yeah,
'Cause
we
I missed that a
continued to
little bit.
talk when you were not here, so
Continue the rest of the interview without me.
We've done this a couple of times before.
There was actually many times when we were writing Holy Fuck and Sacred Water where, obviously it contains a lot of information, as you're saying. It's very dense. It's like, like half a Bible. And obviously, if everybody knows about these things that we all do know about, that is buried beneath layers and layers of programming. But we were actually, when we were working, many times, we were cut off because we never saw each other. We were only working online. And many times we were, on so crucial things. And then we were just, we were thrown out from Zoom. And we were just, trying to reconnect. And we were saying, somebody does not want this book to be published, right? Somebody or a lot of people in power don't want this book to be published. So many times we were into this really big creative process, and then we were just being thrown out.
Yep.
And then like a couple of hours later, we finally managed to reconnect, like what happened, who knows,
Yeah, there definitely seems to be at times that there are forces or energies that appear to be kind of working against you, and you're going to yourself, this is just not normal. There's something does not want this to happen. There's something does not want this to be published. Definitely, I've had that
so many times when we were talking about Cabal, and we were talking about the connection of the Cabal buried in the water, and then we were like, poof, just.
We knew we were getting close to some truth, but when we were cut off, oh, okay, so yeah.
I'm thinking
it started that we were frozen. It started that our picture started to froze, like speaking about frozen emotions. So it started to froze, and then you started to talk, and then so there were so many times.
Yeah, I do think that there is an element of that. There is an aspect of that. Maybe not even so much the Cabal, but certainly higher dimensional entities. They kind of are attracted to light sharing. Groups like this here, people who are trying to bring information. So it would not surprise me to know in the slightest that there may be astral entities who are kind of disrupting our communications and our electricities. But they will not win.
No, they will not.
No.
We will continue.
Yep.
So where were we? Where did you skip to?
But we were about the trauma, the hardship, the things we've been through, and like how. So that's where we went a little bit into like the potentials that comes from the void and the sky, and like you wouldn't be able to see the light if you didn't have the dark. So it's just like also to we have the opportunity to see things from a different perspective, that is not just because it's, when people talk about the darkness, it's not always negative, and sometimes it's good to separate things, to be able to see the different angles, to be able to see the whole. So also, instead of having this, it's like, no, we need to, we cannot separate. Sometimes I actually believe it's good to separate, to be able to see it from the different angles, and not saying it's like the only, but this is one perspective of it. So I've had my kids, they haven't been to we world school our kids, and basically we have them experience the world instead of reading about it, and part of that journey is also that we never tell them this is how it is. We always communicate it as this is one way of looking at it, this is one perspective, and some other people believe this is the truth. The religious people, they believe this, or the anti-vaxxers believe this, or whatever definition or title or box we want to place people in. But just to say, there is no right and wrong. It's just basically we all see the world from different perspectives, and I think that is part of how we can use this time of this a lot of separation to also see that it basically is just different angles.
Yeah, that's so true. We need to have multiple perspectives on anything that we do, even if it doesn't agree with us. We need to at least um, take out and at least become aware of what an opposing viewpoint is, so that we can have a more balanced and more rounded perspective, on things. This is the problem, isn't it? As you mentioned, there is it so many people, and it's exacerbated by the way that we currently are allowed to consume information. Is that people are only getting one perspective. They're getting the mainstream perspective and they're believing that to be true. Then we have people in the alternative media community who are reading this and kind of pouring scorn and kind of believing everything in the alternative mainstream community, which may not also be true, because there are people who are in that community to promote the kind of their own selfish agendas, and also people within that community who haven't done as diligent fact checking and are as guilty of promoting and publishing false media and information as those in the mainstream. We need to have discretion. We need to have a balanced perspective and weigh up information to understand what it is that's going on in our world. But that is obviously quite hard because we're seeing a lot of censorship, or we certainly did see a lot of censorship in our current media, and a lot of the people don't actually know how to seek out and find different information. They consume information through their feeds, through their social media. So when that source of information is removed from Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever, people don't know how to actually go to the likes of your website, Ulrika, to find that information themselves. So it becomes extremely important for us to educate ourselves, to become aware of different perspectives, to seek out different perspectives, even to go out into the real world and interact with different people, as many different people with as many different viewpoints as you can, so that we have a more rounded, more balanced perspective, so that we're not triggered, I guess.
Yeah, and it's about the discernment. So we haven't been taught to discern and to be able to decode what does this mean, how, because when we don't know who we really are, it's very difficult for us to know what is true and what is the programming. So that is like one of the things that I find quite it has been very helpful for me, is that if I see myself as source, whatever whatever you want to call it, like that, or if it's a soul or God or a child of God, or no matter what we believe it is, but that higher sense of self that is always there. When you peel everything else out away, then what is left? When we to be able to connect with that piece of ourselves, then everything else is programming. And then I listen. I've been working with Richard Wilkins, also called the Wiz, for many years now. And when I started my journey in working with that separation of who you really are, your true self, and the programming, or as he calls it, it's script, then all of a sudden it became easy to navigate and learn what when the information comes in through media or wherever, you can feel it in your body, how your body reacts. And but it's very difficult to even do the research, because you can't trust anything today, to be totally honest. And again, it all depends on people draw conclusions of that. You have a bunch of facts and then they say this means this, but it doesn't have to be that conclusion. There's a lot of different conclusions you can take from all these facts. So to also be able to separate, when do I jump to conclusions about something from my belief system, and what is actually the true facts here. So it's like and also be then open that people have other facts and they have different conclusions, and then it doesn't really matter if it's one or the other in that sense, because people are holding on to, it's just like, no, this is the truth. And that's also where we keep on fighting, instead of saying like, I think that there's some truth to this, and I want to go deeper into and explore. The curiosity is key in all of this.
And that is also, from my perspective, what we're talking about, the ego versus like the soul. Because the ego is only here to keep us safe. The ego is here, for our survival. But the soul is here has nothing to do about survival, but everything to do with thriving. Mm-hmm. So what part of me am I listening to? And most of us, since we've been talking, for 1.5 hours soon, most of us are disconnected from our bodies. We don't listen and pay attention from the information that our bodies is giving us every day. Like my old me, I could have fever and headache, and I just took a headache pill and then I went to work. But obviously my body was trying to tell me something, that that you're ill or sick, or you need to rest. But I never listened. I pushed myself. And then we have all these different strategies to numb ourselves also. So this is my perspective, that most of us are not aligned with who we are on a soul level. We are not connected to our spirit, to our soul. And this means that we are left with the ego, talking a lot, making a lot of loud noise. And we listen to the ego because the ego, we are in the illusion that the ego wants what's best for us. So it keeps us stuck, it keeps us safe. And we all know that nothing, there's no growth in the comfort zone. All the growth is outside the comfort zone.
Well, most people, yeah.
And to bring back the power back to yourself, that is also, the intention of Holy Fucking Sacred Water, to bring back the intention and attention to yourself. Like, you are your own best friend. You are the one that you can trust, to navigate through your own life. You cannot trust your teachers. You cannot trust this religion. You cannot trust the media. The only one that you're here to trust is yourself. So this is also like a great learning to come back. What is true? Can I be sure that this is true or not? And if this is not true for me, then what do I have to do? Mm-hmm. So it's also about making more conscious choices.
And the thing is that as you were saying, that most people don't know themselves. They identify with their ego and think that is who I am. They think They are their thoughts, their emotion, their bodies. Instead of having a body, having thoughts, having emotions. And that's why it's like where I come back to, the only thing that is permanent is the essence of who we are. That is exactly. Like what is often called like the soul. I see it more like that. That's the source. For me, that is the holy fuck, and that's life spark.
Exactly.
That is who we are. And then everything else, the emotions, our thoughts, our bodies, that shifts and that changes, and that is something we have access to. We have an ego, and when we don't identify with the ego, that will keep us safe and will protect us. But most people are ran by the ego and identify with it, which means that they can't actually discern either what is true, and that's also why we project a lot of things to other people. You make me feel, you should make me feel happy, you should, it's everybody else's responsibility. And so that's part of this process as well, to also realize we can't even trust ourselves until we know who we are. So again, stay open and really listen and get to know who am I. That is
Beneath
like,
the programs,
yeah,
beneath, who am I beneath my traumas? Who am I beneath my suppressed emotions? Who am I beneath what is going on in the outer realms? Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely true. I think that we have become so disempowered from our true nature. There's nothing. Ultimately, it's as simple. I always say it's as simple as closing your eyes and taking a breath. And by that I mean using breath work and meditation. That these tools are available to everybody in the entire world. They're the most simplest tools that you could think about, but yet they're the most complicated because we've become so disempowered from our natural state of being. We've become so disconnected from the earth. Um, we don't have an idea, most of us, of what the Schumann resonance is. Our pineal glands have become so calcified. These are our basic tools. These are our most powerful powers, I guess, if you like. But most of us have no idea about this. And as you say, because of that, we've become to identify with that part of us, which is the least important part of us, the ego. And if we could understand more about our pineal gland, how that reactivates our light bodies, how it transcends the ego, how we get reconnect with the earth, with the Schumann resonance, reconnecting our electrical bodies with our earth's electrical bodies. It realigns us with nature, then it realigns us with the cosmos, it increases our consciousness. We can then transcend these lower aspects of ourselves, but we don't know any of this because it has either been suppressed or it has been pushed away by science. We could get into the importance of the moon. We don't even know how the moon affects our own water in our bodies, how the lunar cycles are linked to female menstruation cycles, how it is linked to melatonin, how it is linked to human behavior. There's so much, as I said, in this book that are great tools for reawakening that. And once we can begin to understand how we reconnect with these aspects of our cosmos, of our planet, of ourselves, it is then that we can transcend the ego and rediscover more about the true aspects of ourselves.
Exactly. And I think that is such an important thing to remember, that we are a part of the universe. Like all the elements that we see out there, we have within us. And we are, we are from the stars, we are stardust. So it's not that, isolated events that are going on out here, because everything is entangled, everything is connected, everything is a holy fuck. So also the things that I see out there, I see a lot of war, I see a lot of conflicts, I see a lot of this and that, I see a lot of beauty, and all of it is also inside of me, because I cannot see beauty if I don't possess beauty within me. I cannot see how fucked up things are if I do not have fucked up programs myself. So also that we are like this beautiful nature that surrounds us. It is us. We are from the nature. We are natural beings. Everything that is, in nature is good for us. We are good for the nature if we are our original divine natural state of beings.
Yeah, we
and this
need
big
to
part
understand.
of this, yeah, it's just a big part is that we live in this mirror reality where everything is backward. So it's like part of like the hijacking of our whole. So we identify with the matrix, which is artificial, and we are told that we need these artificial things to be whole and well and feel good, and when it's actually the other way around, that the matrix is trying to mimic the power we have naturally. And so when we start to reconnect with nature and everything that is natural, we also reconnect with our power and who we really are, because it's not the ships like in Sweden where they stand and in line to get the ships, so they don't need keys and credit cards, and it's like we become more and more robotic and artificial, and the food we eat and everything we and it's draining our life force. So the holy fuck is when it's like the sparks, the whole life force power that we really are. We can access that more and more and more when we start to see the difference of also when we are ran by a reptilian brain. It's like we all have this reptilian DNA in us, and instead of seeing that as the enemy or something bad, it's just like, oh, that's the part that is keeping us in the survival mode. And then the calcifying the pineal gland, where there's the creativity and the connection into the pineal gland, where we have the stargates into the universe and that. So it's like we can see this from so many different angles and possibilities, but it all leads to the holy fuck.
Yes.
And the water.
And the sacred water.
Yeah.
It's an inside job, isn't it? Really, the answers are to be found as always within inside ourselves. We just need to go inside ourselves and uncover more and more of what has been hidden within inside us. The Mayans knew this as well. You talk about that the Mayans kind of described the Earth as a reflection of our brains, our left and right brain hemispheres. That is mentioned in the book that they say that the midline of the east and west represents, the different hemispheres of the brains. Mayans call it the world tree centers, and obviously the uniting of these two centers is the holy fuck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the interesting part is that I don't know if you have heard about this scientist it's a Swedish guy who lives in the States, and he's called Kalaman. And he's been writing a lot of books about this. Very interesting, lovely man. And we've had him on our podcast, Live the Impossible, as well. But he's the one who started to talk about that, the midline, and like that's the difference between Einstein's brain and like the common brain. That was more integrated, and I don't know if it's true. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if if it's true or not, but that's what's been said. That's like the integration, and the two brain hemispheres. That is also where you connect to the pineal gland and all of that as well. But that where that connection comes, the tree of life, or that energy. He says if you look at as the globe as two hemispheres, that will come on the island between Denmark and Sweden. So it's also quite interesting that like I live in Denmark and Ulrika in Sweden, and and we write this book because that's also where we can. Throughout history, there's been this war between Denmark and Sweden. Always the power struggle. Always like the oh, we don't want to be like the Swedes and control Swedes as the Danes, and like they're always the shaming and blaming, and the history is really messed up because it's totally different depending on which. If you read a Swedish textbook or a Danish about the same event. So also again, what is the truth, and how does that affect our belief systems and our programs and everything of how we perceive and see the world? Where you also said, Ulrika, that the whole, when we start to connect with the earth, we also start to come back to see what is the truth in that sense.
Exactly. And if in doubt,
Go to your Bible.
actually. And there's so many sources that we had here that are censored. I have been heavily censored for the past 2.5 years. The book has been censored. We know that the book has been censored because it's not shown. So there's something in it.
Yeah.
That wants to
Let's
come
hope
out.
this interview doesn't get censored.
Sorry, what did you say?
Let's hope this interview doesn't get censored as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just got
Yeah.
email the other week that I'm censored again from social media. Like I can't put
Really?
any ads, or I really have to think about what I'm writing. And I haven't been writing about anything, what's going on in the outer events recently. I've just been talking a lot about self-healing, self-love, about this frequency device that we have. I've been talking a lot about holy fuck. But again, here I am in the social media jail.
Yeah, that's
I
the
haven't
irony,
been,
isn't it?
I haven't been censored yet, so hopefully we will be good to go.
That's good. And I was asked the question, so why you? Why are they censoring you? I was like, that's a very good question. I'm a single mom, to 2 teenagers. I'm a yoga therapist. I write books that has been censored, so nobody can read them. So I don't know why me. But I said it was a very good question.
You're very dangerous, my darling.
No, I'm love incarnated.
Yeah, but that's dangerous for
Yeah.
those
That's
who
why
want
you're
to
dangerous.
control.
Yeah,
exactly.
dangerous to talk about self-healing and self-love. And yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, that is part of the mirror reality, isn't it? Like, if alternative things are being censored, and it's like you're not allowed to say that you heal. No, but take all the artificial things. That's totally normal or okay, but you're not allowed to use natural things, because then you're stamped as like, no, that's misinformation, that's just like totally wrong, it's just been around for thousands of years and haven't killed anyone, but that is the danger. So it's just the irony, isn't it? Like how everything is just upside down. It's like this. I've talked about the last couple of years as the strangest things. This is like the Stranger Things. Is that that series?
Yes.
Where we live in the underworld of the, where we just need to flip it. Everything is just backwards than we thought. We live in hell, and like we're instead of
the holiness.
Yeah. Or it's not that we live in hell, but that's just like where the matrix is, and then basically it's so easy, but not well.
It's simple but not so easy.
Exactly, simple but not easy. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. To enter that inner Eden, heaven, whatever we want to call it, but that the nature, the realness, the truth,
exactly,
of who we really are.
Exactly. And when I am in that place, that's what I'm transmitting out into outer consciousness, and then we all have created the new earth together. So I have to go really soon. I think we have so much to talk about. Like we should do like episode 1, episode 2, episode. There's so much. But I
think that's what we're going to have to do, because there's still so much that I didn't even get covered. And
I know,
kind of
we
just
can do another one.
kind of just breezed over, because like I got halfway down my notes and there's still so much which I didn't even get to ask you, Susanna, as well. There's so much of this that I mentioned even at the start of this that even if this interview was quite dense and quite long, that we would still only be skimming the surface of it. And even then, I'm only skimming the surface of the notes that I have. There is so much more that we could talk about and get into. Just literally. So yeah, maybe that's something that we may have to do. Come back again and discuss the rest of the stuff that we didn't get to talk about in this interview. Maybe dive a little deeper into some of these aspects. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's, because I think also it's a lot of information to listen to. It's like 1 hour and 45 minutes now, so it's jam-packed with information, so we can do another talk. And if you want to continue now, you just go ahead without me, but I just want to say thank you, Sanith, for having me and having Sana.
Yes.
And thank you, Sana, for being here with us, and thank you who's listening to this.
Thank you so much. And we will ensure that this interview and further interviews do their best not to get censored.
We need to beep out a certain type of words.
Maybe need to beep out Ulrika altogether. You're a disruptive influence.
Yes.
I think we'll leave it there. It would be lovely to continue with you, Susanna, but I think Ulrika is right. There is so much. It's so dense. There's a lot to pack in, and I actually spent that long just going over the themes of it, which was just even the preface, the introduction of your book, before even getting on to the discussion of holy fucks and sacred sexuality. And there's so much more that I would like to talk about. So I think absolutely we could just kind of leave it at that and come back at a later date and continue on. Make it a divine trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a holy threesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes, absolutely. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with, where we can find both of you, just in the meantime until we come back for a further interview?
Yeah. Actually, I'm working at the moment on a new blog and website, and it's called frequencywonders.com. So it will be released soon, and where we talk about a lot of the frequencies, also around the quantum field and the terahertz and the water. So it's basically a different version of holy fucking sacred water in that sense. So that is my latest, which also will be a podcast and things going into also different science around this. So it's not just the spiritual aspect or that, but so that's just like my main project at the moment, to also spread this tool of this magic wand, because this is something that can change the lives of everyone on the planet. So I
totally agree. And our common website is www.reactivatedembodiment.com.
Okay.
And me, Ulrika, my website is www.ulliskarlsson.com. So it's ULLISKARLSSON.com.
Yes.
Looking forward.
And then also our podcast is on all platforms: Apple, Spotify, whatever, Podbean, and it's called Live the Impossible Show. And we have 173 episodes where we talk a lot about also holy fucking sacred water. We've had Ulrika on for a few times.
Yes, an ongoing holy fuck and an ongoing process. So looking forward to the next talk. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll include all of the links in the description anyway, as I always do.
Thank you.
And look forward to catching up with you two ladies again. It's been a wonderful experience, and kind of meander where we didn't quite know where we were going, but we may not have reached our end goal this time. But I think it's safe to say we are just stopping for a little break and having a picnic, if that metaphor works. And we will
Excellent.
recontinue in the new year.
We did it the feminine way, so
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure having both of you. I've really enjoyed this interview, and I'm really looking forward to catching up with you again. So thank you both for agreeing to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yes,
And have
thank
a
you.
beautiful holiday season.
That's right. Yes, thank you so much. We will look forward to connecting again. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.